Welcome to the Shergroup podcast, where we share ideas on how to help businesses grow and prosper in the online world. Join host, Chief Shergroup Claire Sambrook as she discusses her digital journey and how Shergroup is helping thousands to keep their business flowing and growing. Here on the Shergroup podcast.
Hello everyone and welcome to this episode of Shergroup on the Sofa. I hope you've all had a good week and the sun is shining in your part of the world. So this week I'm joined by my guest Ronda Jackson, and before we get into her interview, as I always do on the show, I give a little shout out, and our number one fan is Ross Saunders. So hey Ross, how you doing? Ronda, do you just want to say hi to Rossi?
Yes, definitely. Hello, Ross. I hope you like what we've got to say today.
He will, because you're from Norfolk, which is where he is. He's in North Walsham today. So he's going to enjoy listening to you today. So we're talking about something that is very dear to our hearts, isn't it, Ronda? Ronda is a debt recovery professional, a credit manager by training. And we want to get into everything to do with debt recovery and Ronda's world and her story, her journey to where she is now as a very successful and proactive debt recovery specialist. So, Ronda, how did you get into debt recovery?
Well, Claire, you are a little bit responsible for me getting into debt recovery because 25 years ago, I was working as a credit manager in a haulage company in Norfolk. And they arranged for me to go on to a seminar in London where you were one of the speakers. Ooh. And be interested in what you had to say. And what I really liked, I found the way you conducted yourself very inspiring. I felt like you were a woman in a man's world and doing very well at it. And it encouraged me. I was interested to learn more. And that encouraged me actually to learn more about the industry and take it a little bit further and learn a bit more. So, yeah, it's your fault, Claire.
Well, that's a small world, isn't it? I'm just thinking 25 years ago, how old were you? About 10? I mean, you look great. So
I wish.
But
that's what I was thinking. You must have been about 10 as well, I think.
Oh, no. But I did launch the sheriff's campaign to help retain the sheriffs as they are now High Court enforcement officers, and went up on my hind legs quite early on in my career, really, to promote that. And yes, we are women. We're gaining some traction, I think. But although we make up 50% of the planet, I don't think we make up 50% of the credit industry. So we're still on a long haul to achieve that. And it's ever so the same in enforcement. We're definitely looking to inspire more women to become enforcement agents. And I know you use enforcement agents, so you'll understand that. And the special traits that we have of encouraging people to pay, which I want to get into in some of the questions that we want to talk about today. So, so we've both been in this world for, well, that's 50 years between us, right? That's a long time of recovering debt. Now, you're with Jackson CRS now. So tell us about how you came in to work with that company.
I started Jackson CRS when my life, I suppose, felt like it took a bit of a turn for the worst. I was working in a job as a credit manager that I hated. I used to come home and feel really unhappy in my work. I also suffered a miscarriage at the time, and then my mum was diagnosed with cancer. So suddenly it felt like life was too short to live in that corporate world in a job that I just really wasn't very happy in. And I decided to go it alone. I thought I could see within the company that I'd worked in that I'd made big changes. I'd improved debtor days. I felt like a lot of that was going unnoticed. And I just thought, I wondered if I could do that for businesses, smaller businesses who would appreciate it. And that was what I did. So, yeah, that was my inspiration to start up on my own. And I never looked back since, really. As soon as I made the bold move, I I've really always enjoyed it and found, that I was valued, and people did see, the benefit of getting money paid faster or getting debts paid, and the difference it can make to the cash flow. So it was kind of, when you have like a bad scenario, and it turned out to be one of the best changes I'd ever made.
Every cloud has a silver lining, right?
And definitely.
And how long ago was that? When did that happen?
Well, I suffered the miscarriage before I had my daughter Maisie, and Maisie will be 14 soon.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you've over
quite a long time now.
Yeah, but it's interesting, isn't it? Because in this day and age now, post-pandemic, a lot of people are reevaluating their corporate life and their contribution, just like you did. And deciding like you have decided and took the plunge. So if anyone's thinking about making the plunge into their own company, then here's a lady that's a great example of somebody that did that and has made a real success of it. So I take my hat off to you, Rhonda, for doing that. It's a very brave thing to do, but it can be right for you as a person. And I guess that's where you were at when you made that decision. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. It was scary, but I'm glad I did it.
Yeah. And what we want to do in Shergroup is we want to support entrepreneurial people. It is scary to set up a business and run a business on your own, to walk away from a good job and take the plunge. But as you say, you're getting the bouquets from your clients now and getting the appreciation, which does make the world go round, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. Definitely.
And you're a client of ours, Rhonda, and we appreciate you. So thank you very much for all you do for Shergroup.
And we appreciate you too.
Oh, God, so you 15 years ago plus, you set up your own business, and over that time, I'm sure you've developed your own style. You obviously had your own ideas about how you wanted to run debt recovery. I mean, what do you say is your USP or unique selling point?
I think, unique selling point for us is we work completely on no win, no fee basis. We also don't have a minimum balance that we will take on. Yeah. And we look at each debt individually. So we give our clients like a real personal experience. Each of our case handlers give that personal experience. We don't use automated portals and things like that. We really have that sort of personal touch because we are a small team. And, our clients can really vary in their business type and the approach that they like us to take with the debt recovery or credit control that we offer. So we try to make it really bespoke to the client's needs. I think that's our unique selling point, really.
Yeah, I think that's really, really important. So I think, isn't it right that some businesses have lost that, the ability to chat to people on the phone and just build a rapport with people? Because everybody's kind of either working online or, Rhonda is you're the owner and operator, right, of Jackson CRS. So you're talking to your clients, and sometimes you can lose that, I think, if you're talking to people down the line. And I would imagine that they get all your passion for recovering that debt every time they talk to you.
Oh, most definitely. We definitely for recovering, especially with working with the no win, no fee. That gives us a drive and desire to get that paid as well.
Yeah. So, you deal with businesses. Your clients are sole traders, partners and companies?
Yeah, mainly business to business.
Business to business. Yeah. So, and at the end of this, we'll put in the show notes where people can get hold of you if they want to place a debt with you for recovery. So,
fantastic! Thank you.
And it may end up in enforcement, so who knows?
You never know.
But not if Rhonda gets to it and she gets it collected without even going legal. I'm sure that's a part of your service as well. In delivering this really personal, bespoke service, what would you say are the things that hold you up? What gets in the way of you being able to deliver a really efficient service to your clients?
I'm finding at the moment the courts. I don't know whether you do that yourself at the moment, but especially locally, I think we've had lots of cases well, everything slowed down during the pandemic. So then I have the backlog of cases that need to get in front of a judge. And then we get a date. And then the next thing we hear is it's been cancelled due to lack of judges. And there just seems to be a real shortage of at the moment. That's really holding us up. And the court system, being able to process that paperwork and being able to catch up, I find is one of the most frustrating parts of the service, really, because we just have to wait for the courts to catch up and do what we need them to do. And I don't know where all the judges have gone. Become lorry drivers.
They've probably done the same thing that a lot of people are doing, which is evaluating their life and deciding that they still want to be a judge.
Yeah, I guess so.
No, I think it's a sign of the times. Post-pandemic, everything is sort of we're through COVID, thank God. But there's still a kind of a rumble on and there is going to be, isn't there? For the next few months while we try and catch up. But I'm totally with you. I mean, sometimes I see a job advertised, sort of like operational head of HMCTS, and I think, do you know what? I should just apply for that job. Or they have like head of enforcement of HMCTS. And I think, do you know what? I could just apply for that and just sort the whole ruddy lot out, because it's...
Oh, please do.
I mean, I just think sometimes it just needs some practitioners to go into these roles and just sort out the paperwork mess, because everything's so convoluted, isn't it? Do you find that?
Yeah.
And they have... I think we were talking to some HMCTS people yesterday, so I need to be nice to them because they do use a part of Shergroup. But they were saying, they've set up all these local centres, haven't they, to try and streamline business going through the courts into operational centres. But for whatever reason, those operational centres they just haven't got enough people on the phone. They should have live chat bots. There's all sorts of wonderful things they could do to help streamline and help you get through to the court and get a decision.
Yeah. And, it still feels a little bit antiquated, doesn't it?
It is. And it's because they're not using, in my opinion, they've never joined the dots up on the technology. And there are sort of, I think there are just competing interests on that you and me as court users, we don't get to know about.
No.
But anyway, Rhonda, despite that, you battle through. I know you do.
Indeed.
It's frustrating for clients because they don't understand. I mean, if you can't sort of battle through, then clients definitely don't understand it. You've got to be very patient with them as you explain it to them.
Most definitely. Yeah.
So good job for you and everyone else out there who's battling the court service and trying to make sense of it. And to those of you listening, if you are in court service, whether you're a county court bailiff or a court manager, listen, this lady pays the fees to issue the claims. So she's not getting the service for free. It's an actual service. So can you think about how to deliver it a bit more efficiently, please?
That would be lovely.
There you go. So but during the pandemic, I mean, how did you manage your clients? How did you manage your business?
Well, the pandemic was really interesting because firstly, it was really quite scary. I mean, I was working from the spare room at home. I had my 12-year-old looking after my 2-year-old while I worked. That was all a bit of a struggle. And everything that we knew about credit control, debt recovery, it turned on its head. Businesses that were thriving were suddenly failing. And we saw the flip of that as well. We suddenly saw certain businesses thrive, the farm shops and all that kind of thing started to do really well. But unfortunately, during that time, I saw a lot of businesses fail, which is really sad because we never want to, push businesses to fail or see businesses fail.
No.
And we found like credit reports weren't always catching up, with someone's actual creditworthiness. It was really hard to tell at that time because changes were happening instantly and those kind of reporting and accounting practice take a while to catch up with that.
Yeah.
But I was still extremely busy during that time. I think people suddenly felt that their money was a lot more important. The grants took a long time to come out from the government. You know, and well, you know yourself, there was a period of time High Court enforcement officers couldn't get out at all. Certain things put in place, you know, when there was no way of collecting that money for certain clients, and it just made things very difficult. And people started holding on to their money a bit more. I think everyone felt really uncertain about the future and what they were going to do. So it made it very difficult. Yeah. I had a lot of work, but it was very difficult to get people paid. It was hard.
So you had people instructing you, but you on the other side, where you're actually reaching out to the debtor and communicating with debtors, they didn't want to let them up, they didn't want to pay.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, and couldn't pay. A lot of them waiting for a grant, or their, you know, the way they usually do their business has changed, and people were frightened and hanging on to money. So it did make it a very challenging time.
I think one of the good things, though, if it's a positive, I think people were very understanding. I think creditors were very understanding of the position of their customers during this time. Customers may not always feel that, but whilst everyone was under pressure in the chain, you know, I think the British business community have worked hard to try and give some leeway during this period, which has been encouraging to see. And
it has, most definitely, more than ever. I saw a real need of being able to work together through a difficult time. And to be able to support each other in that way.
Yeah, well, that's good that you saw that, because, you know, again, it's a unique moment in history, and maybe there'll be some leftovers from that. Maybe that kind of feeling of not driving customers into the ground, but giving them some. I know breathing space is a technical term now, but giving people some room to manoeuvre rather than seeing them go to the wall. Like you said, nobody wants that. Your customers don't want that. They don't want to see their customers end up failing, because they won't get paid at all, and they'll lose that line of business. So it's a very circular environment.
Yeah,
we can all help each other. But are you seeing, you know, now that we're sort of out of, you know, the COVID regulations, are you seeing us get back on track?
Yes, I am. I think businesses are getting back on track. I think for consumers, though, now it seems the cost of living is having a big impact. And I think for people who deal primarily in that industry with the consumer debts, that's the cost of living now is going to become a really big problem, because it's affecting a lot more households than before. Yeah. And indeed, people that were thinking perhaps of setting up their own business, they might be impacted by that. Perhaps they don't want to take that chance now. And it has all sorts of ramifications, doesn't it? Yeah.
So, but cost of living and is tough. So, all right. Well, in social media, you're a bit of a LinkedIn star. You're out on LinkedIn, which must be a great channel for you, because it's all business largely. And people are talking about their successes. And I see posts from you saying, I got another client paid today, which I think is a great thing to put out on LinkedIn. That's exactly what your audience wants to hear. And we love to see that. I mean, the way that we look at LinkedIn and all these social media channels is just growing Shergroup's network and its community online, which is fantastic. So when we see people like you popping up and saying, I got another one paid, we're like, Ronda. So what do you think? I mean, first of all, what do you think of LinkedIn? How are you using it in your business?
I like LinkedIn. I find it very useful. And I like with, you know, the information that I share. I know sometimes my posts don't come across as very favourable.
Really? Okay, I haven't noticed that.
Sometimes I get some negative comments when I've put about collecting money from somebody that owed money. But I think, you know, there's always two sides of a story, isn't there? And I really like that. I like when my favourite job is when I sit there and I'm transferring funds to my clients. I've got your money on this one, just the other day I had to sit down and transfer some funds across, and that just makes you feel great. And then you ring up and go and check your bank, your money's in the bank, I've got you paid. I love that side of it. But I think sometimes people think or assume I'm, taking food off a child's plate to enable this debt to be paid, or, that's not really what we're about here at Jackson CRS. We just try to keep a persistent approach. And like I say, most of our debts are business to business. So
yes,
apply that pressure.
I often say to people, and this will resonate with you, and I understand exactly what you're saying, because people have said the same thing to me, almost as if, and I think it's worse if you're a woman, because
possibly,
we're supposed to be, although it's all up in the air, but I suppose we're supposed to be the nurturing, mothering types, and here we are collecting debt, and worse than that for me, I'm actually knocking on the door and taking away goods. So there's no hope for me. But I think what we can say to people, isn't it? We're carrying out a process, and I know that you are very particular about how you do that, and very cognizant of the law and following procedure. And I think that's what we're all doing. We're following a lawful procedure. Is that your dog?
That is my dog. Sorry.
No, you're good. That's what makes these little segments, Shergroup on the Sofa, authentic, because it is what it is. So it could be a baby, it could be a dog, it could be. I had my husband on the lawnmower.
Okay.
A couple of weeks ago, and I said, "Why did you decide to do the grass today?" And he went, "Well, I didn't know you were on video."
Yeah.
So it is what it is. So don't worry about that.
Yeah, sorry about the dog. Hopefully he'll be quiet again in a minute.
So I think
you're right. It's important to conduct yourself properly. It's important that you don't, people who are vulnerable, or you deal with those in a certain way. I think that's sometimes what people actually miss. We really do try to help people as much as we can. We have a situation where we have a client. I've had clients sit in my office before Christmas crying their eyes out because they can't afford to buy Christmas presents, and they can't pay their wages because their business is owed money. Yeah. And when I ring them and tell them their money's in the bank, go and get your Christmas presents, and they're over the moon, then, that makes me feel like I've done a good job.
Quite right. And LinkedIn, you do set yourself up for the brickbats. I remember the first negative vibe I got on LinkedIn, and I was like my world had been shattered. But I'm afraid you grow a thick skin, and you learn. And actually, the more positive you are, the more difficult it is for people to try and knock you down. So good job on LinkedIn.
Thank you.
And in terms of that, I mean, what do you think makes a successful recovery? When you're getting this money for your clients, you obviously feel very protective of them and very passionate about it. Well, what is it that makes a successful recovery, do you think?
I think it's our persistent approach. We have a really robust procedures in place to ensure that all debtors are chased by all available methods on a regular basis. We always try to show respect in our communication with the debtors, and we often have to mediate to find a beneficial resolve for each party. Yeah. I think lots of our success comes down to how we interact with both parties. I think that's what I would put that down to, really.
Because now you're based. I'm a Norfolk girl. You're a Norfolk girl? You were born in Norfolk? I
am. Okay. Can you not tell from the accent?
I can, but that's because I'm from Norfolk. So we're both Norfolk dumplings, right? I don't know if you're allowed to use that phrase anymore, but that's what my dad used to call me. So in terms of your business, you're not limited to Norfolk, right? How far out do you go? You go nationwide, or?
Yeah, I mean, we have clients all over the country. I've even had clients from outside of the country, in the UK, who have contacted us. And it doesn't matter. We can work for anyone, anywhere. We don't need to be on somebody's doorstep. I just find Local people like to use local people, which is quite nice. And I think sometimes Norfolk people do like when they pick up the phone and they hear my Norfolk accent. And some people like to be able to pop into the office and bring the paperwork in. But it doesn't matter. I can work for anybody anywhere.
Well, as I know your part of the world very well, where is your office? Is it Wyndham or is it moved?
Yeah, we're currently based in Wyndham.
Yeah.
We're actually in the process of moving. We're getting a bigger office and a bit more room for expansion. So we're moving just down the road into Watton.
Okay, right.
So next time you're in the area, you'll have to pop in.
I will. I'll come and see you and we'll go for a nice cream tea somewhere.
Yes, definitely.
My niece has introduced me to the bakery at Attleborough.
Oh, fantastic.
Okay, so Norfolk based, but countrywide, UK wide, and further afield. If you've got a debt in the UK and you want somebody in the UK to look after it, Rhonda's the person to reach out to. Now, one of the things that I hate, and I'm sure you hate it as well, is when you see a client, and often they won't have been with you, they'll have been with somebody else, and they've written a debt off.
Oh, it makes me itch, Claire.
What is that
about? That's like a swear word.
Yeah.
Off. It can't. You know what? Even if they have written a debt off, I can still try and collect that debt.
Yeah, I get you can.
Written it off. It's still a debt. If they can still prove the debt, I can still try and collect it. I've collected money that's 30 years old. And yeah, I don't like the word writing off. I think to anyone who's even thinking about writing a debt off, or they have written debts off, it's no win, no fee. Send it over to us. We'll try and collect it. If we don't collect it, you haven't lost anything. But no, please don't write debts off without giving it that one last push to see if there's something we can do about it.
I love the attitude. I love it. And and in these times where, every penny counts, and it's almost like change down the back of the sofa, you write a debt off and then suddenly you might find, you might find a couple of pound coins or something down there and you think, oh, that's nice. Well, that's what it's like when Rhonda when she recovers a debt that's been written off. It's like, I don't know, whatever it could be, a few £100, maybe a larger debt. And suddenly it's back in your bank.
Indeed.
Because of your tenacious approach, Rhonda.
The other thing I find, Claire, is sometimes when I look at someone's ledger and they've got really overdue, why is this a year and it's still not been paid? Oh, that's in dispute. For me, I feel like you don't need a year to resolve a dispute. I like doing that too, hand it over. Let's find a resolve. Let's nail it down. Let's get that paid. Or, let's resolve the dispute. Let's say goodbye to that sitting in your 90 plus 120 days column, whatever. I
love it. And do you, in terms of when you're looking at, when you're handling a client's business, would you say you start, and it's all a bit, let's talk terms. Would you say you start at sales ledger management? Would you start at credit control, collections? Where is the starting point for you in somebody coming to you with their ledger to collect?
Okay, well, we offer two streams, really. We offer the no win, no fee debt recovery.
Yeah.
But we also offer a bespoke credit control service where we act like an extension of the client's team.
Yeah.
So we cover the whole ledger as if we are their credit controller. And then when things become overdue, it can seamlessly move over to the debt recovery side.
Nice.
So it all depends on where the client wants us to pick up. If the client wants us to manage the entire ledger, then we charge a monthly fee and we do all the collection calls, emails, like customer service based. Or if they come, some people come to us when it's just a bad debt. Some people come to us even after they've been to court and received the judgment. Different clients get us on board at different stages of the process.
Yeah.
It doesn't really matter even at what stage they're at.
No, but it's nice that you offer that full range of taking a client, onboarding a client wherever they are in their process. What would you say to a new startup business who perhaps hasn't really thought about the importance of, or taken on board the importance of cash flow? What would you say to somebody starting up a business about that?
My thing that I always say is, like, think about your terms and conditions. Make yourself really robust. Think about what payment terms you have to offer. I think sometimes people say, what are your terms? They'll say 30 days. Why did you offer that? Like, oh, I don't know. Just one offers that. Well, if it was 7 days and not 30 days, it might improve your cash flow. And just to make sure your clients are aware of when you want to be paid, make sure they're aware of how you want to be paid, and make sure you have a process in place of what you do when you don't get paid.
That's very good advice. Very, very good. Yeah, people, 30 days is not, you might think it's a business norm, but it's only a business norm because you let it be. What's your norm? So if you're not clear about that, or you need some advice about that, then reach out to Rhonda and let her walk you through how to set your invoicing up and making sure you get paid on time, because that will help you stay in business.
It's really funny, actually, because I had an invoice the other day from someone who does some work for me, and I said, "Oh, have you put the month on the invoice?" Paid in advance, and they say, "No, they do all the work and then charge me at the end of the month." And I said, "Oh, why didn't you bill me in advance?" I was doing it the other way. And I said, maybe you need to look into that and think about that. And she was very much like, yes, I think I should have done that.
Yeah, but it is about knowing you and talking to you and getting your advice on how to set things up. You can really make a difference to a business. We know what a difference a great credit control function can make to a business, don't we?
Most definitely.
And obviously you've got acres of experience in that. And I see that you're an associate of the Chartered Institute of Credit Management, which I also have been involved with. And how has that helped you in your career? How has that, helped develop your skills?
Yeah, most definitely. I think being a member of a professional body helps give confidence to the customers and debtors, anyone researching our business. They can see that we've had to do a lot of training and gained a lot of experience to achieve it. Also, being a member means that there's always support available and updates on the industry changes, which means we can keep on top of the legislation changes. And we often do the training that's available just to keep things all fresh and up to date. It's really useful. We can, I get the magazines and that kind of thing. Is always good to.
I do think I live and work in America as well as the UK now, and I can tell you that the Chartered Institute. I was speaking to somebody at HQ in the institute who used to work with Shergroup a couple of weeks ago, Luke Sculthorpe. Hello, and I was just saying, that the Chartered Institute, CICM, is a world-leading organisation. It's not just for the UK. It actually sets a gold standard, I think, for global credit management. And even though America is a far larger country and far more sophisticated in many ways with its 50 states and its legal systems, CICM, what it does in training young people coming into credit, or maybe older people coming into credit and picking up new skills, is phenomenal. And I'd like to give a shout out to Debbie Tuckwood, who's the Director of Education, a long-standing colleague of mine in my network, who did a lot of work for the High Court Enforcement Officers training, examinations, and took them on board some 12 years ago. So I'm totally with you, Rhonda. It's a great organisation to be in. Do you interact with that through the branch, or do you interact with it online, or a bit of both?
Bit of both, really. Yeah. I think they are really good. Like you say, the training is second to none. Having been to credit conventions and things here in the States, and then seeing what the CICM does, I think they should bring it to the States, North America, and really showcase what they do in terms of training. There's so much opportunity here for them as well, because money moves around the world now. It doesn't just move around in the UK. If you're out there listening to this, you may be doing business across boundaries and across the world, and you need to be able to collect your money in any part of the world, not just in your locality. So
we've all got to move to being able to do credit control and credit management internationally, which again, the CICM trains on. So you've had a fantastic journey and built a great business up, and you're a working mum.
I am indeed.
Well, I like to talk to working mums because, carrying the children and then having them and then looking after them and juggling a job is no picnic.
No.
I don't care who you are. I don't care if you're Duchess of Cambridge or Ronda Jackson or Claire Sandbrook. It's tough.
It is. There are many times when I've struggled to run a business and a home and bring up my 2 daughters. It's not always easy, that's for sure. I think the main thing is family always comes first and has to come first. It's important to have good supportive people around you that understand that as well.
Yes.
Jackson CRS, I really like to create a culture where the staff all support each other. I like to think also that I'm actually, I'm teaching my daughters that it's important to work hard for a living. I like to think that's a good thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I think when I've struggled in the past, you'll know yourself because I met you with a big pregnant belly and said, Claire, what am I going to do? I need to have some time off to have a baby. And you have to pull on those other females that you've got around you for support and help, be around like-minded women. That all helps because it is hard. And there's times when I've got something at work that I can't miss, but my daughter's just woken up with chicken pox.
I saw that.
Yeah. It's really difficult. You can be really torn. You get the mum guilt if you're at work serving the clients. And then if you can't serve the clients because you've got to be at home looking after your children, you feel bad for the clients. So it is all a juggling act. You just have to keep all those plates spinning and get a good support team around you.
Well, you have done a great job. And your little one, how old is she now?
3.5.
3.5. So you've got a little bit of a gap.
She still wakes me up every night.
Yeah.
Coffee, just plenty of coffee. That's the way, isn't it?
But you just do what you have to do. I think mine was Diet Coke.
Okay.
For breakfast.
Yeah.
So you just do what you have to do to get through the day. And like you say, I had tons of support with my husband, and you just do what you have to do and find your support network. But I do think there's one thing that you said there, which is very true. And again, because we're both on LinkedIn, women supporting women in the workplace is one of the strongest things that we can do for each other. Particularly through pregnancy and through menopause, and just understanding, because we do understand these differences, that we can support each other and help us stay at work for as long as we want to be at work.
Yeah, and to be honest with people, you don't always have to look like you've got it all together. Sometimes
I definitely don't do that.
Me either, because sometimes it's, I have a lot of plates spinning and, it only takes one to drop, doesn't it?
Yeah, and it can feel like the whole world is dropping because that one thing came off the rails that particular day. But the thing is, and I can see this in you, that because you are driven, you will get back up on your horse and you will carry on.
Yes.
Because, even if you have a setback, and that is all part of building a business. You will have setbacks and tough times. And it doesn't have to be anything earth-shattering. It might just be putting a new computer system in or onboarding a new member of staff or something. There's all sorts of things that can jingle jangle
yes, indeed.
your day, week. And children are very resilient. I always say to people, particularly those that have got young children, and my children are grown up now, they're 21 and 27, but I worked pretty much all the time they were youngsters. And I agree with you. The end result is that my daughter is extremely driven and works very hard. And my son is very conscientious about his studies. So you do set an example, don't you?
That's it. That's right. And I think I come from a hard-working family. My parents always worked really hard. So I was always brought up around that kind of environment.
Yeah.
And Yeah. And I think that's kind of instilled in me. If you want something, you need to work for it.
Yeah, there's no such thing as a free lunch. I know,
No.
I know it's a corny line, but it's so true. You know, there's no such thing as a free lunch. So I'm so pleased that you're thriving and that, you know, your girls are thriving. I see them on your Facebook. I'm privileged to see them through Facebook, and I love to see you all, you know, moving forward and the girls growing up. It's great to see. And the business is going from strength to strength. It's tremendous. So and that you've got the dog.
The dog's doing really well.
You're great. So well, listen, Rhonda, that's a great interview, and thank you for all that you do, and carry on with and CICM. Go and get on the advisory council. Go and stand for council. You've got, you know, you're just the kind of person they need. Straight talking, tons of experience, and it's a great place to network and just move yourself up the industry ladder. Please visit Rhonda's website at jacsoncrs.co.uk. I'll put her phone number in the show notes so you can reach her by phone. Remember, she likes to talk to people on the phone, so you're going to get a friendly advice and conversation with Rhonda, or you can email her. And again, I'll put all that in the show notes. Now, you're on Facebook at Jackson CRS. I don't think I've connected with you on that, so I need to do that. And you're on Twitter.
Yes, I don't do a lot on Twitter, though, I have to be honest. I'm not very good with Twitter.
I know, everyone says that.
Yeah.
So we'll connect, Shergroup will connect with you on Twitter, because we're kind of like using all of our contacts to create our own kind of Twitter community, and everyone finds it tough, so we're just going to make sure that we join you on Twitter, and of course you're on LinkedIn as Jackson CRS. Are you on there on your own, in your own right, as well as Jackson?
Yes, I am. Yeah.
So
as
Ronda
Jackson.
Okay, I think these social media channels are really important, just to give you visibility and let people see what you do and who you are.
Yeah, definitely.
What you're about. And why you're good at collecting debt at any stage of the process. So thank you, Rhonda, so much for that. I hope that covered everything that you wanted to talk about today. It was a great interview.
Yeah, it was lovely.
Yeah, good. And I come back and see us again sometime when you want to talk about something else, or you want to update us. We'd love to see you again on the sofa in the future. For everyone else, thanks for watching this episode. We're not really on a sofa, but that's not the point of it. I just called it that because it was really about being able to have a chat with people and just recording that and capturing that and showing our lovely community off to you of people that we've worked with and continue to work with over the years, and what a sensible, proactive group of people we engage with as Shergroup. We love it. I love talking to people about their businesses, and it's all sorts of businesses, not just credit. But today I'm very much in my comfort zone with Rhonda.
Yeah.
And you'll find a lot of our services are now packaged up on our website at shergroup.com. You can follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. We've got our own TikTok coming now, so that's going to be good with Call the Bailiffs on there. And if you are watching this, please subscribe to our channel, Shergroup TV on YouTube. Please press the subscribe button. We want to drive people up to watching our TV. So Rhonda, if you haven't done that and could do that for me, I would be really appreciative. And when if you've got a YouTube channel, I'll look at it now. And if you haven't, then get one.
Okay.
I think it's a good thing to do. There's a lot of Brits talking about their holidays to Orlando on YouTube. So watch YouTube a lot now. I never used to, but I'm watching it a lot. And so that's it for today. So for everyone out there, thank you so much, and bye-bye. And thank you, Rhonda. It's been great talking to you. Thank you.
And goodbye, Ross.
Oh, bye, Ross. Well done, Rhonda. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks for listening to the Shergroupie podcast. To join our Shergroupie community, subscribe by going to our website at www.shergroup.com. Keep up with the latest Shergroup news across all our main channels, including YouTube, LinkedIn, and across all social media. Stay connected and begin building more business relationships.